They're still reusing the tutorial from Game 4.
As long as the game mechanics have not changed, there is no need to change the game tutorial.
Beth arranged this little vacation for me, and sometimes their plans don't work out so well.
It's confirmed! Nancy hates her friends.
Nancy is only stating her friends make plans that usually turn out differently than expected. She does not hate them.
When Nancy first arrives, Katie is standing in place and staring at the wall. Katie leads a very boring life.
She was not staring at the wall for a long time. Katie had just picked up her groceries only a few seconds earlier.
How did Katie get that bag of groceries here if she traveled by bicycle?
Katie could have carried the bag with her one arm and rode her bike with the other. Sure, that way is not efficient, but it is still possible to do.
Nancy goes on vacation and accidentally uncovers a mystery cliché.
Is that not what the Nancy Drew series is all about? Nancy taking on mysteries handed to her, as well as discovering them on her own? Nancy doesn't just find mysteries, they find her.
Your bunk's the empty one below.
There's no bunk bed here.
A sleeping area on a boat or ship is referred to as a bunk or berth.
Andy literally left his calling card at the crime scene. Worst culprit of the year.
Anyone could have obtained a business card from Whale World. It is always possible he was being framed. We never do find out.
Katie is way too excited about going to Jenna's cafe, considering the two of them hate each other.
She might just enjoy the food and beverages.
Why does clicking on one book move 3 books? Did Katie glue them together or something?
Nancy is just picking up several books at a time. Many people do that to save time when putting books in a drawer or on a shelf.
When you first meet Andy, he tells you about the recent robberies. It's later revealed the culprits work for him, so that means he ratted out his employees to Nancy for no reason.
There is nothing suspicious about a local businessman talking about burglaries that have recently occurred.
Miss, please don't touch that.
Later on, he forces you to touch it.
Andy made a deal with Nancy. She is to put the model together in exchange for Andy giving her a clam tube and permits to hunt for clams.
Game forces you to learn things, ew.
You learn things throughout the game, not just at Whale World.
Bald eagle butt.
We did not need to be informed of that.
And for letting me use your camera.
Nancy is staying on a whale-watching tour boat and she didn't bring her own camera?
The bigger issue is that Nancy comes here to relax in Snake Horse Harbor, but does not bother to bring a camera on her vacation.
Why does the culprit feed the orca with non-native fish? It should be cheaper and easier to get local fish.
Buying a lot of local fish may arouse suspicion from the locals.
Holt drinks coffee with the mug handle turned away from him.
Holt can clearly grab the cup handle with his left hand.
Rises in the sky, no?
The point of the quiz is to see how smart and knowledgeable you are. If you cannot answer simple common sense questions, then you should not be out on the water.
Nancy is too cheap to pay for a small keychain.
The sign clearly says, the keychain is for anyone who takes the whale watching tour, not just paying customers.
Why does Jenna have a giant mayonnaise bucket? None of the items on her menu include mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise is a condiment. It is not something you would usually see on a menu.
Nancy has to redo the code and the stove latch every time she re-enters the lighthouse. Why? Did someone sneak in and reset it when she's not there?
Nancy keeps them locked to keep others out and to prevent Holt from discovering what she is doing.
Jenna says the necklace is the prettiest thing she owns, but it's actually kind of ugly.
That is subjective.
Nancy dodges a falling object puzzle reused from previous game.
Reusing this previous puzzle does not pose a problem.
The light looks exactly the same after Nancy cleans off all the rust.
She was not cleaning off the rust. She was just lubricating the hinge to use the light.
It's amazing how quickly and easily Hilda translates Nancy's phone number from Morse code.
People who are experienced in Morse code can translate quickly.
Nancy can't confront Katie about the fish she uses to feed the orca.
Where's all this water coming from? What is that smell? Ew.
What's up?
Are you aware that there's a whole lot of fish going bad in your freezer?
Of course I am. Whoever tore up my engine damaged my wiring, too. Refrigerator's out, freezer's out, TV's out.
It's herring, if I'm not mistaken. The same kind of fish orcas in captivity are fed.
All right. I've been feeding the orca okay, but I'm not the only one. I can't afford to feed her much, and there's not enough natural fish in the channel for her to exist on, yet she's doing fine. Which means someone else is feeding her too. You know, this is not a good time for me to be trying to entertain a house guest. How about a rain check?
I'm fine with the way things are, but if you insist.
As soon as I get this fixed, I'll take you to the mainland so you can catch a flight back to River Heights. I'm sorry, Nancy.
Not only can you talk to Katie about the rotting fish, but you find out what she is doing with the fish is illegal. This causes her to become agitated and tells you that you should leave.
Benjamin Hawkins built all of this with 1866 technology.
This was not necessarily impossible in 1866. For example, the ancient Romans had a massive plumbing system to deliver water to its citizens back over 2,000 years ago.
Why wasn't Katie using her work gloves when she's working the entire game?
You do not wear those types of gloves when working on an engine, or carrying groceries.
Since Andy's the culprit, why does he help Nancy sneak on board the smuggler's ship without stopping her or capturing her or something? Culprit foils their own plot.
Andy did so to make it look like he can be trusted, and not cause Nancy to be suspicious of him.
Nancy breaks into the culprit's hideout with no real plan of what to do or how to get back out.
How can she have a plan? She does not know the layout of the ship, let alone trying to figure out how to escape.
The smugglers are more worried about Nancy than about the fact they kidnapped someone less than an hour ago.
They would not be worried about Katie, who is tied up. Nancy could find out they captured Katie, then she could alert the Coast Guard, and get Andy and all of his goons locked up.
I can't call anyone now. Someone might hear me.
Nancy says this even when she's in the secluded below decks area where no one can possibly hear her.
She is not secluded. The door in front of her is open and she has no idea how many, if any, goons are down below deck with her.
Somebody stop her!
Andy calls for someone to stop Nancy when nobody else is around to hear him.
Not necessarily. There could have been men nearby that heard Andy shouting for Nancy to be stopped.
How did Andy manage to shut and lock the door when he was nowhere near it?
It could not have been Andy. It had to have been one of his goons who had shut it, which means they heard Andy to begin with.
Oh no, what have I done?